Welcome back to day 13 of the 30-day coding challenge. Today, we're going to be building this time tracker dashboard. If you're new here, hi, my name's Zoe. I'm a software engineer and former university professor who loves teaching folks how to code. If you're interested in starting a career in front-end web development, check out that first link in the description below for more information on our bootcamp. But without further ado, let's hop into today's challenge. Alright, so yeah, we're going to be building this pretty straightforward time tracking dashboard app. It's going to be a good chance for us to use CSS Grid or Flexbox and just lay this out pretty neatly. So let's go ahead and hop into it. I've already got ahead and started up the app. Again, you can use the starter code. It's this Material UI Next.js TypeScript starter. I'll link it in the description below. And the design we're following is this time tracking dashboard. It's one of the free challenges available from Frontend Mentor. So again, if you want to follow along, I'll link that down below as well. So first things first, I'm just going to go ahead and clear out some of the styles. I've also gone ahead and grabbed the images from the starter code that they give us, so you can use those as well. And I'm just going to set the background color of this whole page. Okay, and it looks like this is the background color. Say body. That's going to be a background color. Awesome. Next thing we're going to hop over to is the page, and I'm going to actually create a new folder for my components. And let's take a look at what we need. So we need basically, I think we could use the page as a container for this, like the dashboard. And then we need this like profile / switcher component, and then the 6 cards that are going to be dropped out. And then if we can like change up the logic. I think the idea is that when you click daily, weekly, and monthly, it changes the numbers for the data. So yeah, pretty straightforward. Let's go ahead and build it out. I think what I might want to do actually is write up the data. Yeah, let's start by writing, or let's build the component, then we'll write up the data. All right, so first things first, we have this sort of informational component with this important trigger here. So I'll call that like the profile component. So I'll create a new file, say profile.tsx. And the profile, we're going to use box from Material UI. And what colors are we using here? I guess there are 2. So we have this background color. And it's going to be like the larger box. And then we'll have a smaller box, and this will be the background color for that. Cool. So in the outer box, we're going to have these 3, I think they're going to be buttons, daily, weekly, and monthly. So I'm just going to create a couple of buttons. I think I'm going to do it just regular styles here. I'm going to say daily. Yeah, we'll do buttons, daily, weekly, and monthly. And we'll style these up in a second. And then in this top piece here, we have our type. We're gonna need some typography elements in an image. So we'll say image. From next image, the source is going to be, I think it's this one. Alt equals user image. And then we'll say height 78, width 78. We'll save that. Cool. And we should actually drop it on our page so we can see it. Okay, cool. Okay, awesome. So far, so good. So continuing on with our styling here. As I said, we want to use either CSS Grid or Flexbox for this. So we're going to want to think about how we size it and style it. But let's just finish up the couple of pieces we need in here. So yeah, as I said, we need a typography element. and it's going to be report 4. Then we need a second typography. We need Jeremy Robinson, and this is going to be size 15. This is going to be size 40. Cool, and then we'll need to change the color on both of them. And in fact, the color on the whole website pretty much is white, so I'm wondering if I could just set that as a global. If, no, it doesn't look like it's gonna take it on. That's all right. I could set it in the styles as well, but I'll just set it here for now. We'll say color. And color here. Cool. So that works. Awesome. So we have those two. Let's add some padding to this box here. So it's going to be 32 pixels, give or take, all around. And let's see, how should we do this? Yeah, we're gonna need the padding here, so we'll say padding 2rem. And then we need the border radius of 15. Okay, and we'll need that same border radius here. And then, what else? I think we're gonna have to wrap this in a box. And possibly add the padding to this box. I think if I add the padding to the other box, I'm gonna have an issue. Yeah, there we go. That makes sense. Okay, cool. And then we'll say, oops. Cool, 3 buttons, awesome. And that's pretty much the basics we need for our style for the profile. I mean, there's more that we need to touch up and fix and sort of make it look clean, but that's the basics. What I want to do now actually is look at CSS grid and take a look at what we can do with our potential use of grid. So we'll basically use a container, a box on the outside to set it to display grid. And then we want to define the columns and the rows and basically drop out our different cards based on that. So let's see if we can get this done correctly. So let's go back to our page. We're going to create, well, we actually have the larger box here. I think, I'm going to do one more box just because I think I might want to use that larger box for something else. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to say display grid. And then I want to just create kind of placeholder cards so we can kind of see where everything's moving and then go from there. So I'll create a new file. I'll say card.tsx. And we're just going to give it the basics of whatever this is. It's going to be a box with this as the background color. So box, we'll say background color is that box. Cool, and then we will display 6 of them on the main page. And so now this is not how we're going to do it later, but I'm gonna just put up 6 of them here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. We're gonna map through the data later, but just to give us an idea of what it looks like. All right, so then we have these cards. So the way we want it to be displayed, we'll say grid template columns, and we want 4 columns. So let's see how the best way to do that is with grid. Okay, so you can define it 1 fraction, etc., etc. 1 fraction, 1 fraction, 1 fraction. So taking a look at the design, it seems like it's about 1 fraction each. So I think we can do that. We can say 1 FR, 1 FR, 1 FR, 1 FR, and that'll be the columns. Okay, yeah, and that's pretty much working as you expect. The rows, on the other hand, we want to do something a little bit different. We want the first row to be a whole thing, and then we want 2 rows ultimately. So let's see. Oh, we could do grid template. That might be better. Grid template areas. Ah, okay, we could do that. Let's try that. Let's say grid template areas. And then, okay, let's try that. We'll say grid template areas. We'll say, what is it gonna be? Profile, oops, profile card, card. And then profile card. How would we do this? Maybe like this. And then like that. It's a little different because we're doing it inline, but I feel like something like that might be the way. And then I called this grid area profile. Oops, profile. And then I would call this the grid area of card. Okay, yeah, and it did exactly what, well, oh, maybe not exactly. Let's see. It looks like we have 1 big card. Card. Oh, why are they all on top of each other? That's interesting. No, I don't think that worked out as expected. All right, let's look up something. Let's see. So on the left here, if you've never used CSS tricks before, the left is like the properties for the parent, the right is the properties for the children. So we can actually modify the child as well to sort of make things a little bit more straightforward. Oh, also, I did not go ahead and take out this. Wonder if that was screwing anything up. No, okay, never mind. All right, I don't think the grid template areas is doing exactly what I want it to do in this one. So go back to the columns, take out the grid area. Okay, good. And then I think maybe I could modify the individual items. Let's try that instead. So we'll say, grid column start end, grid row start end. So try, whoops. Yeah, no, it's actually grid column. Grid column. Well, it's really row we want. So it's grid row 0 span 2. Let's see if that works. I'm also considering using Flexbox for this because I think we'll get a similar desired effect. But let's give grid 2 more minutes, then we'll see if we need to change it. I think grid template areas would work perfectly fine if we weren't using inline style. So maybe that's what we need to do. Grid template areas inline styling. Okay, let's try it like that. Let's give it another shot. We'll say grid template areas. What did it say to do? Backticks. So we'll say profile and then profile, card, card, card. Profile, card, card, whoops, card, card. Okay, let's see if that works. Call this grid area profile and call these grid areas card. Oops. All right, cool. It's still not working as expected. Okay, yeah, it's not working as expected. I don't want to drag this on too long, so let's change over to Flexbox because I know we can do it using Flexbox and go from there. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we'll have the profile there, and then I'm going to wrap these in a box. Whoops, in a box. And then we'll say flex, flex, wrap, wrap, and then we will then calculate the size of the cards. Let me do one more thing. I'm going to add in a container to this larger box here. I'm going to set this box, the one I remember we left earlier, I'm going to set that to be a container. Container. I'll say max width. Whoops. I'll say max width is going to be medium. Maybe large, that seems a little small. Cool. And then for the cards and the profile, we're just gonna have a fixed max width of, let's say, 20 view width, I think. So we're gonna say width is 20 view width. Oh, that's a little, oops, oh, I put view height, view width. Okay, and same thing for the cards. We'll say width is 20 view width. And then it automatically wraps. So that's kind of what I was going for there. All right, cool. So the next thing we need to do there is we need to, using this box, we'll say justify content space between. And maybe there's not enough space there. We can, CSS Flexbox, CSS Tricks also has a Flexbox guide. So you can do the same, you can have the same information there if you want to follow along. And they can, I think you can actually print it out and get a poster. But anyhow, I think maybe I want to make the width a little bit smaller. So we'll say maybe 18. I just want to probably adjust the size. Let's try 15. Okay, so no, it's too small. It's gonna wrap like that. I just want to give, oh, maybe I should put margin. That might be a margin. Yeah, if we add margin, then we get, okay, but then it's on the top and the bottom, which we don't want. So let's not do that. Let's do space between, and then, you know, I'm gonna add it here too. I'll say justify content, space between. We'll do that. There we go. All right, so now we're getting our horizontal spacing. I also want to do vertical spacing. I think I might have to set the height on that for that to work. So I'll say width is 18 view width. Height is gonna be like, yeah, let's do the same thing, like height. Are they squares? They're kind of square. Let's try 18 view height. Or no, it wouldn't be 18 view height. That would be, height would probably be maybe 25 view height because the height is shorter. Okay, yeah, and we're getting a little bit of space now. And then I think what I need to do for the outside box, which will make the difference, is give that a height. So we could say, yeah, height of this will be like 50 view height. Or 70 view height. Yeah, and then now we're getting the space. So then this, okay, so we have that and that space between. 70 is probably a little bit too big, actually. Let's do 60. And then for this box, for content space between, align items, center. Okay, no, we don't do that. Save that. I think we'll just add a margin right to that. Margin right. See, and again, it would have been just easier if we worked with grid, because then we don't have to worry about all this like spacing and stuff. But not right, margin left. Okay, cool. Not too bad. So that looks good there. What I want to do, let's see, flex wrap, just about space. We can say align self flex end. Would that work? Okay, no, that wouldn't work. Yeah, this would work a lot better if we were able to get the grid working properly. All right, let's just keep going with it. Let's just go ahead and style these cards. So the cards are going to have some data that we pull from. So we have to go back to the main page here. I'm going to create a const data object. Or I should say an array of objects, and each of those are going to have a title, number of hours, and previous week. So we'll say title is going to be work, hours, we'll call it weekly hours. Weekly hours is going to be 32, and then previous weekly hours is going to be 36. And that's going to be, oh, and then it's going to have an image, and then icon. And I think, let's see. Okay, so the icons, I'm wondering if they are the full with the background, or if we're going to need the color as well. So let me copy the relative path here. and take a look at one. We'll do a test. So we'll say data.map. For each item, we want to return a card. And we'll just take in item. And the key will be item.title. And then we'll set card to take in the interface, the props. So we'll say item. So item is gonna, from the item, we're gonna get the title, the title, which is a string. We'll get the weekly hours. We'll just copy these three, basically. Number, string. We'll save that. Title, weekly hours, previous weekly hours, icon, and then props. We'll say that. Cool. And then, now if we're going to go ahead and display this, we'll create a couple of typography elements here. And say typography. It's going to be, title. And then we'll do weekly hours, previous weekly hours. And then we're going to have this image. And really, it's probably going to be the background image. But let me grab it just so we can see it first. Source equals icon. Equals icon. Alt equals icon. Height equals. I'm assuming it's just going to be this. 78 by 78. But I could be wrong. And then data.map. Oh, return. Cool. All right, so yeah, it's just the icon. No color. Oh, that's a little bit annoying. So now we have to actually go and grab the color. All right, so we'll grab this color and we'll say that's the color as well. So we'll go back here and we'll add a color. And so it will also take in color. And so what I am going to do, actually, I'm going to create another box. I'm going to say background color is going to be color. Oops. Going to be color, and then background is going to be, I think it's source. It's either source or URL. Icon. Let me get rid of this. Oh, but that's interesting. If the background color is that color and the icon's that color, how do you see it? Oh, this is the background color. That's what's, it's incorrect. All right. Maybe it's source icon or it's URL icon. There we go. Okay. All right. So that's not exactly what we want to happen. So what I'm going to do for now, I'm just going to get rid of the background image. I'm just going to use it as a color. I'm just going to use, yeah, like this color there. Because it's the same thing we did here. We just had the second piece on top. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do for the card. Background color is gonna be color. And then, why is it so tall? Oh, maybe this size should go here. Okay. And then 16. Oh no, that's not what I want. I want the I want this to be 20. Right. Now why is the background appearing on the bottom though? Oh, because I have line self flex end. Let me take a look at how I did the profile card. No, I just had it one after the other. Say display flex. Align items flex end. Or probably, yeah, okay, so cool, that works. So we'll just have the color for that, and then we'll do the same border radius. And the good thing is, once we build this once, we don't need to do it 10 times. You know, we can just use the same code over and over, so we're not repeating ourselves. Looks good. And then we need that same border radius on the bottom and the top actually, so that works well. And then there's a little bit of padding here. 30 pixels padding. I'll say 30 pixels of padding. 30 pixels of padding. Oh, it's just pushed it out. Gotcha. Okay, so maybe I'll make the height a little shorter. That should probably be the square, and then oh, okay, interesting. We'll just make it one round then. Okay, and then we'll set the color to be white. Oops. Save that, and then that is going to be 18 pixels, so we'll say font size, I think it's 125 round. And we'll say this one font size is going to be 56 pixels, 3 rem. And the last one is going to be, oh, and it's actually not going to be white, it's going to be this color. Font size 15 pixels. And color is actually going to be this. Cool. Got those set, and then say last week dash hours, and then this week is going to be hours. And cool, so we have our first card. So now we just need to duplicate this data and put it in for the other pieces of information there. So go back to our profile, or to our page, sorry. I'm gonna grab this and I'm just gonna duplicate it a few times. Oops. And then the second one's gonna be play, study, exercise. So play, study, exercise, social, and self-care. Cool, so we have that. We have 4. We're gonna ignore the icon because we're not gonna use that, but we're gonna grab the colors. So let's grab these colors. So it looks like we're using this color for play. We're going to use this color for study. I'm going to use this color for exercise. And the reason I'm not really spending too much time on the icon is, like, we could get it to work. It's a nice to have. And if you're doing this as a polished piece, 100% add it in, spend the time. But in terms of just getting things built and doing sort of an MVP, I want to make sure that we're not stopping ourselves because we're not doing things perfectly. Don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. All right, cool. So we have our basic grid set up here. So far, so good. The next thing that we're going to want to do here, we are going to want to center this on the page, actually. So let's try and do that. So center, align items, center, save that. Oh, and then I think the container needs a height. Height, 98 view height. Cool, so now it's centered on the page, looking pretty good. The next thing I want to do is I want to have some interaction with these buttons. So we have daily, weekly, monthly. Right now when we click them, absolutely nothing happens. But what I would like to happen is that when I click on it, something changes here. So I want, because these are the weekly number of hours, we want that to change to the daily number of hours, so divided by 7 when we hit daily, or multiply it by, I guess, 4 if we do the monthly version. So how we want to do this is we're going to say, I'm going to use state in this section. I'm going to say const set, what should we call this? Set unit, maybe? Set unit, or unit and set unit. And the default, we're going to use state. And the default is going to be weekly. I'm going to turn this into a client component so it doesn't complain. Instead of that. Cool. So we're going to assume that it's always going to be weekly unless we're told otherwise. We're going to pass in the unit to our card here. And we're going to take that in. We're going to say unit is a string. I'm going to say unit. And then what we can do, we can just write a quick function here. We can say const return number, return correct number of hours. Or no, what we could do, let's say we have the unit. We want to basically modify weekly hours. We could just say hours, const get hours. I could say unit, if unit equals month, or weekly, sorry, weekly, return weekly hours. Else if, oops, unit equals daily, return weekly hours divided by 7. Else return weekly hours times 4. We'll save that. And that'll be the result there. So then what I'm wondering if I can call get hours. And get the number of hours. All right, so then what I want to do is I want to pass in set unit to profile. It's going to take in that prop. Set unit. And we're going to say on click. Set unit to be daily. Cool. And then we'll just set that for the next 3. Oops, forgot to copy that. We'll say weekly and monthly. Monthly. Perfect. All right, cool. So that should call the setter and then set the unit, and the unit should be passed. So let's see if it works. So if we click daily, awesome, it's working. Weekly, awesome. That's exactly what we expect to happen. Perfect. So then the next thing I want to do, let's clean up 2 things. So if it's daily, return. I can do to fixed or to fixed 0. So I do daily. Yeah, perfect. That's what I want to happen. All right. So let me put in the actual data. So we'll change up. So it's 3, 10 and 8, 4 and 7. So we'll say 10 and 8. 4, 7, 4 and 5, 5 and 10, 2 and 2, 4 and 5. Oops, I missed something. 4 and 5, 4 and 5, 5 and 10, 2 and 2. Cool, so we have the weekly hours set there. I think actually, what we'll want to do is rather than say last week on the profile, we can say, or on the card, sorry, we can say, get const get text, and we can do the same thing here. We can just borrow this format, and we can say if unit equals weekly, return last week. Oh yeah, actually we'll just do this whole thing. So we'll say return this. But if it's not that, if it's daily, we're gonna say yesterday. Divided by 7, and then we'll do last month. That should work. So I go daily. Oops, let me refresh. Daily. Oh no, it's still, oh, I didn't actually implement it. So we put get, if we call get text, we actually use it. Say get text. That should work. So we'll say yesterday, last week, last month. Perfect. All right, and we just want to modify this, say to fixed 0. All right, so we'll say daily, 5 hours, weekly, monthly. Awesome. So that looks pretty good. I think we're pretty set on that. As I said, the things that you could clean up, things you could make better, you could align things better. But in terms of just getting something done, getting something added to your portfolio, I think this is a really good example of, even if it's not perfect, you can still do something impactful and useful in your portfolio. So if you enjoyed this video, leave it a like. If you want to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe. And I'll leave a link to the rest of the videos in this series so you can check those out. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.